with other UUs in the tradition of inviting the gong 3 times. Once in remembrance of those who have lived, built, and nurtured this congregation before us. Once with appreciation for all of us calling this home today, and once with anticipation and hope for those who will be part of this congregation in the future. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Sunday, June 7th, 2026. My name is Kathy Mitchell, and I am your service leader for today. We welcome everyone joining us online and in person to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist congregation. We especially welcome those of you who are visiting for the first time and those recently new to us and returning again. We're so glad that all of you are here with us today. Everyone, please, I was going to say stay for coffee afterward, but we're going to have a special event afterward, so I won't say that. You'll have to just wait until the announcements and find out about that. We begin our service with the acknowledgement that our congregation rests on the unceded lands of indigenous people, including the Cow Creek Band of the Umpqua tribe. Their name graces our congregation and the river that flows through this land. We make this land acknowledgement in recognition of the Cow Creek Umpqua, the Onkalakalapuyia, and the Southern Molalla and other tribes who have been forcibly displaced, yet who continue to live, lead, create, and belong here. May this acknowledgement move us toward repair, relationship, and right action. As Unitarian Universalists, we are diverse in faith. We think for ourselves, and we honor how our life experience shapes our personal beliefs. Unitarian Universalism is its own faith tradition. We come from radical roots and a long history of people who sought a faith grounded in freedom, reason, and love. We are united not because we all believe the same thing, but because we share a commitment to seek truth, practice compassion, and build a more just and loving world. Our practices for the holy differ, our languages differ, but the tradition we share is real, a faith shaped by history, covenant, by conscience, and by community. Much appreciation goes to our staff, Church Administrator Genevieve Gonzalez, and Media Director Jake Tranter, and to our greeter today, John Asham. Thank you, John. And now we have an opening song, Here We Have Gathered. Please, it's number 360. Please rise as you're able and join our music group in singing.
And before you start singing, there's a couple things I really noticed about this song. It doesn't say, here I am gathered. It says, here we are gathered. And you'll see a lot of alls in that. So it's just a great piece. And as long as we're giving a few names, we're glad to have Lily and James back up front. They've been so busy this spring, so thank you for being back. Yeah, good.
And Ben.
Amen.
Ben is here.
And Ben. Well, Ben just snuck in behind me. Ben's here too. Thank you, Ben. Here we have gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May
And now, announcements. Jody, you have an announcement?
Everyone, you see your flyer inside. Make sure you look at it, pull it out. Next week, going to be a big celebration. Many, many hours and time and money has gone into restoring our basement that was totally destroyed. And many of you here today worked really, really hard helping do that. And we're going to have a celebration galore, so make sure you come, bring your family. Let's make it a wonderful time. And Chef Andy is going to give us a wonderful barbecue. So come on out Sunday after church down in the basement and look at how much work has gone into making it a beautiful space. The other thing, after service today, we want to invite anyone that would like, come to our house. Reverend Alex is staying with us this weekend, and it'll be a chance. He's actually candidating for our new pastor. So, pardon? Okay, he's candidating to become our new pastor. He's in the process. We aren't there yet, but it's a chance for you to talk with him, maybe get to know him a little better. So come on out. If you need our address, we'll give it to you. We got lots of food. There'll be plenty to eat. Come on out to our house after church. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Lilene. Several of you have asked me about Pride events. This is Pride Month. I haven't said much because the current Pride event is next Sunday. And it's a picnic in the park, and it starts at 11 o'clock, and it lasts until, 1 or 2. Pride picnic, but the actual Pride parade will be in the fall. And as usual, the board did vote to be a sponsor, so we will be the first church at the last meeting to have acknowledged that we will be supporting again the whole Pride parade event.
Any other announcements? All righty. In our community today, there are many children and adults, housed and unhoused, facing illness, hunger, and without shelter. Acting in compassion for those who are in need, our service to the larger community is to collect your donations of food and money for the Fish Food Pantry. Our church offering will be later in the service. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and will definitely be put to good use in our community. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today. Reverend Alex Holt is a semi-retired Unitarian minister originally from Maine. He's an accredited interim minister and served 16 churches for nearly 30 years, including this congregation in Roseburg from 1998 and 1999. He has 22 years of sobriety from alcohol and helped start the UU Addictions Ministry Program in 2004. His current focus is how we make friends with aging and death from a Buddhist perspective. His hobbies include working with bonsai and playing computer games. He lives in Eugene and continues to explore the evolution of universal consciousness along with doing enjoyable church consulting work.
Hello there, everyone. My goodness. The nice thing about coming back to a place after so many years, the last millennium actually, is I don't recognize many people. And that is always a good thing in a congregation that's growing and thriving. So congratulations on that. I want to just introduce the opening words. In the 1950s, a Zen priest from Japan was asked to come to this country. I think there's a little feedback going on here, by the way.
It might help if you lift the mic up just a little bit towards your face.
How about that? Maybe? Anyway, he was asked in the 1950s to come to San Francisco to take over the Zen community of San Francisco. And he did. And he started getting American students, because this was right about the time that Buddhism was becoming sexy in this country. And so he taught for quite a number of years before he died. So these opening words are a little funny, but they're also serious. He said, and this is 1968, "You are perfect just as you are, but you need just a little improvement." So my questions that I would pose to you is, how do we reclaim who we really are? Are we indeed inherently whole and complete, or broken and sinful? Are we able to rediscover our wholeness through our thoughts, words, and actions? So that's a bit of what we're going to talk about today. Thank you. What am I supposed to do now?
You can,
See, they tell me what
relax. You can relax.
to do. Really?
And now we light our chalice with these words from Eric Hepburn. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love is our center. When the light of truth burns away all else, love endures. And now please join me in saying the words of our affirmation, which are in your order of service. We come together to renew our spirits, to open our hearts, to remember the strength we find in community, and to shape a more just and loving world together. We now take a moment to hold what we're carrying into this day, the joys that have found us, the worries, griefs, and longings that we carry with us too. If you'd like to light a candle, you're invited to form a line to the left. When you share, please give your name, and please keep your words brief so everyone has time to share in this circle of care.
I'm John Asham, and within the last 24 hours, I've received the news that our Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, has dismissed and canceled 180 faith communities from the chaplaincy corps of the United States military. Unitarian Universal is among them. And I protest this, I object to it, and I witness it as an attempt to squelch our religion and to keep us quiet. I will not go willingly down this path, and I will be writing to all the people that have a bearing on making a decision.
Hi, I'm Sharon. John actually stole my candle. But I'm personally not sure that that's a bad thing or a good thing, you know. I don't know if we really want to be connected to the Department of Defense, but oh well. The second thing is a candle. I brought this morning the proclamation, a copy of it, from Larry Rich for Pride Month. And I will put it back on the table so everybody, are you there? Yeah, can see it, okay? And the third one is my youngest granddaughter, Arilee, graduated from high school on Friday amidst a lot of family drama because her parents are separated. But the long and short of it is she thought she had a good day, and that really matters.
Well, fair is fair, because Sharon just stole one of my announcements. The Pride Proclamation is being read and signed Monday at the City Council at 7, along with another really important decision proclamation, and that's whether or not to keep ICE out of our community. So we're encouraging folks to show up. You don't need to speak if you're not comfortable, but if you do want to speak, you need to sign up around 6. That's the first. The second, Marilyn Stevens, who many of you know, had her youngest granddaughter, Amara, who's age 5, die. And Marilyn's having kind of a hard time, so she's asked for prayers. And a few of us are going to get together and do a prayer circle, but all of your prayers would be really helpful. And maybe if you've got a little time this evening, you could take 10 or 15 minutes, whatever that time would be for you, and send her some prayers. Thank you.
So many people in this community here, in this congregation, have wonderful gifts. And today I'm lighting a candle for someone who has shared their gifts with me and has made an amazing difference in my life over the last week and a half, and that's Bill Esser. Bill, thank you so much for giving me some advice that led me on a path that has been amazing. And it's amazing the difference that some good advice that he gave me has made in my life. And you know, I just think we should more often tell each other how much we love and appreciate him when people give their love to us. So Bill, thank you so much for talking to me the way you did.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Baker. I'm going to put a lot of candles into this one candle. We just took our wild and wonderful 5th graders on a 3-day camping trip to Camp Myrtlewood, and no horrible disasters or tragedies happened. A lot of little things, but mostly a lot of great things with those kids. And it was amazing. And the funding for the program and the grant is getting shaved and shaved and shaved. And what an incredible thing for our public school students to experience the unity, the singing, the just leadership opportunities, and outdoor learning. Number 2, let's see if I can remember what it was. Our son Cody just celebrated 1 year of sobriety, and it's amazing and huge, and he's making great strides with his life. Yeah. And number 3, my parents have been going through some hard transitions, and they're so brave and beautiful and strong and amazing. And I'm so obviously fortunate to have them in my life still. they just are blowing me away with their strength and bravery. And Thursday, they're celebrating their 65th wedding anniversary. So here's to them.
Hello, my name is Lily, and I graduate on June 12th at 6 p.m. Thank you, from UCC. Me and James are part of the UMCLA singers, and we're gonna sing at graduation. So I get to walk and I get to sing. If anybody wants to be there, please come. June 12th, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. And then also we have our last UMCLA Singers concert on June 9th. I put a poster in the back. And there'll be a lot of solos from me and from James. So if you want to come and see that as well, that would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Tammy, and I'm lighting 2 candles today. One is for a granddaughter. Today is her birthday. Mackenzie, which is my son's wife's daughter. So she's turning, I'm not sure, 9? Yeah, 9. She turned 9 today. And the second candle is for my son Avery, who has passed. His birthday is on the 10th. So happy birthday to both those kids.
My name's Abby, and I also just heard about all the religions that were being taken off of the list. And one of those religions was one that I still kind of align myself with. And I know that there were a lot of other religions that were taken off, and a lot of them were very different from like a lot of the common religions. And I know that that probably affects a lot of people, so that's who I'm lighting my candle for.
And I'm going to light a final candle for those who may have kept joys and concerns deep within their hearts.
Please rise as you are able as we sing Spirit of Life.
We're supported by this community's gifts of time, talent, and treasure. Your support is what fuels this congregation's mission and keeps the flame of justice, community, and love burning brightly. If you're a visitor, please be our guest and let the basket pass you by. What is given now is received in appreciation of our shared hopes and values. For the gifts we have received, may we be truly grateful. May we be committed to using these gifts to make a difference in the world and to expand our beloved community. And now we'll sing our response, From You I Receive. And now we have a song from our music group. Yeah, it is now. Right now, Bill. We're going to be singing For the Beauty of the Earth. Please join them.
Yes, there is number 21. That's right. For the beauty of the earth. You bet. Hey, it kind of sounds like an organ, but this is kind of an organ piece, but what the heck? That sounds great. Okay.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to thee we praise, this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all to thee we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonders of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all to thee we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for the gentle thoughts and mild, source of all to thee we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise.
Love that live music. We have a brief reading by Jan Chosen Bays. Mindfulness is deliberately paying attention, being fully aware of what is happening both inside yourself, in your body, heart, and mind, and outside yourself, in your environment. Mindfulness is awareness without judgment or criticism.
Well, good morning again, everyone. I want to thank Kathy and Jody for their hospitality, and their cat, and their dog, especially the cat.
Raise the microphone.
I'm sure.
This is always a learning experience, by the way. This is what it's going to have to be. Can you hear me okay? No? Okay, thank you. I'm always concerned about feedback. Of course, a lot of people give me feedback anyway. So, Jody and Kathy, thank you for your hospitality as always. And the music people, I've been in a lot of places where the music isn't nearly as good as here. So thank you for that. And thank you all for being here today. Especially, it's summer, sort of. So I'm going to introduce a quick history of Buddhism and why I'm involved with it, and give you some structure about various ways I think it can be helpful for us as Unitarian Universalists, but also people in general. You probably know that Buddha lived and taught about 2,600 years ago in India. He was the son of a nobleman, and the area in which they governed was about as large as maybe 30 miles in every direction from this spot. I mean, the kingdoms were very small. But he grew very dissatisfied with his life, and there are a lot of stories about that. But he wondered why people, and I'm going to use this word carefully, suffer. And the word suffer doesn't mean the way we think it is. It's discontent. Discontent with the way things are. So it was really in the Transcendentalist movement in the 1800s where Hinduism and Buddhism came to the United States, and nobody knew what they were, and there was a lot of confusion about it, but people persisted with it. And then after World War II, Japanese and Chinese Buddhism came to this country and began to really make an impression and a difference with people, because it was, and I'll say this later, really very simple. As we'd say in the Zen tradition, sit down, shut up, and pay attention. Because that's really what it's all about. Suzuki Roshi, who was in the opening words, was a Zen priest who came to San Francisco in the 1950s, as I said. And when he went back to Japan, and people in Japan really didn't know much about this country. And he went back to Japan, and his colleagues said, well, what are these Americans like? And he thought for a moment, and he said, well, they're wonderful students. They're really good. And if I asked them to jump off a cliff, they would. And they would ask why all the way down. And his colleagues were a little puzzled by that, but he was a very acclaimed monastic teacher in this country. So now we come to the present moment. You probably remember, and it's on the front of the order of service, the monks who did a walk for peace early this year from Texas to DC. I lived in the South, in Texas and South Carolina when I was doing interims. And I don't think 40 years ago they would have been able to do that march. Because there was so much bias and so much anger and so much, we're married to this particular tradition and no other. The estimate is that almost 1 million people saw them by the sides of roads, in cities, and so on. And it's pretty amazing, and I've listened to some of the stories that people shared that they had no idea who these people were. I mean, they had garments that looked a little weird and so on, and they walked in silence. But what they did most of all was, particularly as they were walking, they would stop and give flowers to children, to people who are in wheelchairs, and to the elderly. And by the way, that breaks at least 5 precepts in their tradition, in the Theravadan tradition. But it was so powerful that people were able to see these very simple people and their dog, can't forget the dog, and by the time they got to Washington, D.C., they were a national phenomenon. And I'm going to mention a little bit later what their opinion was around the connection of inner peace, if you will, and social justice. And I'll mention that a little bit later. So there are several things that the current Buddhist traditions in this country support. One is, and I'm going to mention it again later, is social justice, or what they would call compassionate action. Because the term social justice has a lot of negative meanings too. I mean, the people in Afghanistan have justice, but it's very different than ours. So compassionate action is the term that they tend to use, but I'll come back to that a little bit. The second thing is addiction and recovery. I was alcoholic for many years. I struggled with it. It runs in, it gallops in my family. And after I had finished an interim position outside Portland, Oregon, I decided that it was time for me to take a break because I had a failed marriage. The ministry I did wasn't all that good, and I was an active alcoholic. So I took a break, and I went to a place called Cloud Mountain Retreat Center in Southwest Washington State. You know it, yeah. And they have Buddhist gatherings, sesshin, and so on, every weekly year. I mean, we were busy on staff all the time. But one of the teachers from Japan was named Harada Roshi, and Roshi is an honorific name. And he came there every year, and he had about 40 students from this country, and he was known to be strict. And Zen teachers tend to be very strict, by the way. And so consequently, one of his habits was every year to have formal tea ceremony with the staff. And so his attendant came to meet with us before and said, okay, this is what happens, and you'd better do it by the letter. Okay. You know, the attendant would ask you if you wanted tea, and you didn't dare say no. And this was green tea, by the way. Put it in a bowl, and then you drink it mindfully in silence, and then that's it. And you go on to the next person. And as I said, Roshi was very attentive to how people were doing. And there was conversation going on in the room, and the attendant asked me, do you want tea? And yes. And so they were using these stone bowls, and they were pretty heavy, but the tea came around to me, and I sat there, and I tried to drink tea mindfully. Mind you, not knowing what the hell I was doing. And I was trying to drink the way the instructions said, and I was kind of nervous, like all of us were. And people were talking, and then the room fell silent. And I thought, oh shit, what did I do now? You know, did I dribble the tea down? Did I create, danger in U.S.-Japanese Zen relations or something? Roshi spoke to his attendant, because he speaks just Japanese. And she looked at me, and she said, Roshi wants me to tell you, you drink tea very well. That was a turning moment in my life. I remember I just walked out of there on air. Because, I'd looked at Buddhism and kind of studied it a bit over the years, but I hadn't really gotten into it. And just his words, you drink tea very well. hit my heart. And I still remember it. And this was 1996 or so. And so I decided it was time for me to go to a monastery and really take on practice. My old Zen teachers, Chosen Bays, who's the reading you had, and her husband, Hogan Bays, had a monastery at that time in the Columbia Gorge. So I asked if I could come to be there, and they said yes. And I was there for about a year. Didn't solve everything. I still drank. I still struggled about relationships. But I was able to start getting an idea about what discipline and practice were about. Not discipline in the way of, hitting people, but discipline in the way of your inner self, and before you reacted to things, stepping back emotionally and spiritually to say, what are the consequences of my action? And that's what karma is. Karma is the law of cause and effect. Some religions say that, you go through lifetimes and karma is something you have to deal with in future lifetimes. The Zen tradition doesn't believe that. It's the law of cause and effect. So, very simply said, it was a matter of, at one point in my life, I decided I can't drink anymore because it'll kill me. And a lot of people will be affected. And so I stopped, and so it was one of the major things that really, I'd be long dead if I hadn't stopped. And one of the things that was really powerful about that was Alcoholics Anonymous. And I went there, I did not like the language. And I had a lot of issues with it, I still do. But I found out, and I was actually involved in the start of it, of the Buddhist Recovery Network, which is not recovering from Buddhism, but recovering from addiction, because the fifth precept that Buddhist students take is not getting intoxicated. And the late Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a Vietnamese priest, who I'm sure some of you know, said that intoxication and addiction could also mean watching TV or paying attention to our screens. I'll mention that a little bit later. But the thing was that the Buddhist Recovery Network, which is a worldwide organization and has any number of meetings in this country, some of which I go to, is very focused on how do you grow and evolve as a person. Because, as I said before, the idea of Buddhism is you're already complete. You have all the tools you need to become a whole person. And whole doesn't mean that you're going to be free of any conflicts or any issues. Rather, it's before you get reactive, you step back emotionally and say to yourself, what are the consequences of this action, or these words, or even these thoughts? So that has been another thing that's really been important as far as Buddhism in this country. Then it's actually the most important one, meditation. As Americans, and especially as Unitarian Universalists, we don't have a structure for doing contemplative meditation practice. I mean, Unitarians and Universalists did 100 years ago, but it doesn't exist now. And I think that's one reason why Buddhism is so powerful for so many Unitarian Universalists, because it is a non-theist way of being able to say, who am I really? Because the premise is that we are whole, we are complete, we have, if you will, awakening in all of us, no one left out. So meditation became a really popular part of that tradition here in this country. And so every moment as you're sitting there, some of you are writing, some of you may be thinking, okay, when's the food? Some of you may be thinking, okay, this is an interesting service. And some of you may be just sitting in your nice, comfortable chairs going, what a nice Sunday morning. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're paying attention to the present moment. The fourth one, and I think I mentioned this in January, is called Shinrin-yoku, which is called in Japanese forest bathing or forest therapy. And it was started in the 1980s because a lot of the Japanese, especially men, were working so hard that they were burned out and they were also alcoholics. So the government came up with the idea of a structured program for people to go out into nature and just sit and do that as often as possible. And my life partner, Deborah, actually is certified in Shinrin-yoku, and so she does work with people. And the way you do it, or at least she does it, is you go with 4, 6, 8 people, whatever, and you go out in the woods. And everybody picks a place, and you do not have your electronic media with you, and you sit there for an hour. You don't write anything, you don't listen to your phone, you don't do anything except take it all in. And it's very powerful because we realize after the fact how much we miss. I mean, I taught a class at Allegheny College in Pennsylvania, and the students there were all seniors, and they were doing comprehensives, and they were all stressed out beyond belief. So I had Deborah come, and they did a Shinrin-yoku walk, and they were amazed about how much they were missing in the world. And it was really a gift to be able to just stop. And I think one of the reasons that so many people, including hunters, by the way, are attached to the natural world is because we do feel somewhat refreshed and renewed by that time to just stop and pay attention. And stopping and paying attention also meant if you were done by a mosquito, you didn't go like that. The mosquito has as much right to life as you do. So people would just sit for an hour. And then there would be a picnic afterwards and everybody would share their experiences. So it's pretty powerful, and I don't know if you have people here who do it, but it's really a gift. Then there's one of our other favorite things, food. My Zen teacher, Chosen Bays, wrote a book called Mindful Eating. And actually I've taught in classes about it. And it's an idea of being able to pay attention to your food. Because what we tend to do as Americans especially is we sit down, we eat as fast as we can, and then we get on to the next thing. And that's been part of our culture since the 1700s. So what she has done is focused people, and we took this training at the monastery about how do you slow down? How do you eat small amounts and not just gobble it up as fast as you can and get on to the next food on your plate, especially dessert. But the thing was, what she said was, our stomach knows when we're full. And at the monastery, we did a practice every day, 2 meals called oryoki, which means just enough. And we learned over time that our stomach would say, okay, I'm full, but our brain would go, no, we're not, let's keep going. And that problem is caused a lot of weight issues for people and whatnot. But the whole premise is slowing down and enjoying what we have. Acknowledging that we do not have the origin. So I've done tea meditations, for example. The tea just doesn't appear in the grocery store. It's grown, it's, in Sri Lanka or, wherever, including this country. And so the practice was, before you sipped your tea, you smelled it and then tasted it a bit, and where did it come from? Imagine it being harvested. Imagine it being dried. Imagine the tea plants being in the wind and rain and air. And at the end of that long journey to bring this tea to you by hundreds of people, do you gulp it down as fast as you can, or do you sip it to appreciate what has been given to you? Because this is also about generosity. Back to the social justice and walk for peace. Every night on their journey, the monks would give a talk. And as they went on in their journey from Texas to DC, they got more and more people there. You know, people were thinking, nah, nobody's going to want to watch them. And they were having hundreds and thousands of people there every day. And it was very powerful. And what the leader, the one who gave the talks in DC on the last day of their walk, he was asked, well, what about social justice? What about all the crappy things that go on in this country and in the world? What do you say about that? Because Buddhism, for 2,600 years, has been focused mostly on how do we take care of ourselves? How do we develop a place of equanimity and kindness and compassion, first for ourselves, but for everyone else? And what the speaker told him, or said as a response, was there's a balance. One part of our lives is taking care of ourselves and making sure that we develop serenity, equanimity, and being able to live through all the crap that comes with life. And there are practices around that. But the other half of that, the other part of that practice, is how do we help people compassionately? And in Asia, that's always been a major issue, and Buddhism at that time was just focused on the self. Thich Nhat Hanh, who was one of the founders of the Buddhist peace movement, has talked a lot about how do we get out there and help fix the world. So one thing I'm going to mention in passing before we stop, actually I'm going to do a meditation, is that we don't realize as people how much we do of kind things and what's done to us too. But what I would like you to do is take a few minutes, no, not a few minutes, but a short time of quiet, settle back in your comfortable seats, close your eyes if you want to. We are Unitarian Universalists, we don't have to do that. But being able to just close your eyes and bring up something, let's say in the last week or the last 30 days, that you have done for someone else or others that has been kind, that has been generous, and you did not demand a thank you. You didn't demand, okay, I've given you, you give me. But something that you have done in the last month that, excuse me, will be a reminder of what you naturally do. And this is one of the other precepts in Buddhism, is we are naturally compassionate beings. So think of something that you have done, or if you have been evil beyond any pretense, think of something done for you that was kind, compassionate, and so on. Spend some time with that. How did it feel? Did it feel like a gift, or did it feel like an obligation? And I'll give you an example. Opening a door for somebody. You may think, oh, that's just a small thing. For people who are having an awful day, it means a lot. It means doing something for another human being. So just think for a few moments about what compassionate, kind deeds and words you have done or been done for you. Hold on to those for a moment and imagine that that is who you are at the core of your being. Inherently whole means that. It means we not only pay attention to ourselves, but we pay attention to the people around us. And by the way, it isn't just people, it's animals and so on. Just think about that for a minute. But mostly, how did it feel? And then I'll ring the bell. Thank you.
And now we take time for comments, reflections from all of you.
I appreciate your guidance this morning. I recently became a 90-year-old, and I have realized that many of the things that I did to be alive in my community are not easy to do now, because I don't remember people, I don't remember their names. I feel very different being closed away from them. But you have suggested there are ways I can make this an alive time for myself too, and quit worrying about what you can't do anymore and work at what I might be able to.
There's another piece to that, and that is forgiveness. I don't know about any of you, but when I was a much younger person, I did some things that I really regret. And I've been burdened with thinking about those a lot. But part of the practice is self-forgiveness. You know, it's done, it's over. So how do we, congratulations on being 90. You've got at least 20 more years, no big deal. So thank you.
First off, welcome to our community. It occurred to me when you were speaking and doing things for others, it almost seems to me that a large part of the society is more ready to do things for others than to accept help. And it's really, really hard for me to accept help, but I have started to do that. And it's kind of funny how when you're giving help and you're accepting help, it kind of goes hand in hand. The more that you do it, the easier it is. And it's not really something that you feel obligated to do. It's just because it feels like that's the way it's supposed to be.
One of the things that I've had to learn the hard way, which is my normal situation, is let's suppose I let somebody in the road, you know, in a car, get in front of me. And I will silently say, "You're welcome." Because most people don't have the opportunity, or they don't think about it, to say, "Well, thank you." Why do I want somebody to say thank you? It's a gift. It's generosity. And so until such time as I was in a very bad car accident, and I had to ask for help. It's a big practice, it really is. But it's also a giving and taking, like you said, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Reverend. At the beginning, I appreciate your comments from the Buddha about differentiating between pain and suffering. I have to work on that one. And one footnote, the coffee today came from Kenya.
During about the last year, I've been drawn to Buddhism. And the Walk for Peace, well, I missed it while it was happening, but now that it's over on YouTube, I watch it over and over and over with songs, and it is so peaceful, and it's helped me so much. And are there any of those Buddhist recovery groups around here?
I know they're in Eugene, but they're also online.
Okay.
So it's BuddhistRecovery.org, I believe. So you might look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
All right, thank you.
And there are several different types, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just can't have one type and say it's the right one, all the others are wrong. So there are a number of variations.
Okay.
I would also mention, I think you mentioned it in the opening, there's a book that I've been reading called The 5 Invitations. And it's about making friends with aging and death. Because at least a few of us probably think about that at times. And so what he has done, was a chaplain in charge of the San Francisco Zen Hospice. And so this book, which is still in print, has several ways of how do we face that. But not push it away and say, well, I'll deal with it someday. It's no, how do you embrace it? You don't have to like it, but there are ways to embrace it with kindness. Because as you know, none of us get out of here alive. So how do you prepare for it?
What was the name of that again?
This is the book. Oh, I can never pronounce his name. Frank Ostiaski.
What's the title again?
The 5 Invitations.
Invitation.
Yeah. And it's discovering what death can teach us about living fully, but I think at any of our ages, whether we're in our teens or 20s or beyond, imagine when your grandparents die, or you have a sibling die, or a friend die, and then parents, which we really never prepare for emotionally. And then, of course, as we get older, we have to think about our own mortality. So I really like this book, and I've been talking about doing a class on it, or a support group, for a long time. And that's one of the things that we really want to do.
I would be interested.
Anyone else?
I can really relate to the forest, getting out in the forest and just kind of communing with nature or whatever. An example, yesterday I pruned this humongous bush that I've been wanting to do for forever, and I got it done and I was so happy about that. But then I just started walking around my yard and I was just taking everything in. Our yard is huge, and it's surrounded by trees. We have a creek, and I just slowly walked around and I was taking everything in, and it just felt so peaceful. And I've been stuck up on our roof, and I just look at the trees and the sky, and I can understand that. Yeah, I really relate to that. I'd like to do more of that.
And you always can. And I have friends who are hunters, and I don't hunt. That's not part of me. But they will say, yeah, I want to go out and kill something. But what they also say is being in nature is incredibly restorative.
Hi, I'm Lilene. You've been so kind and open to share with us about your recovery and your interest in Buddhism. I hope it's okay to ask, and if it's not, please just let me know. But since we understand that you might be considered to be our minister, and for those of us who might not be able to go afterwards, could you tell us a little more about your interests?
About what's the word?
Your interests, the things that we might gain from you through sermons, etc.?
I probably can't at this point. But I will say around addiction recovery, wherever I go, I tell people about, I'm a recovering alcoholic. Because you're not supposed to say anything about that. And so I do. And the amazing thing is people will come up and start talking about it. And say, that's part of my story too. So that's to be determined. Fair enough? Thank you.
So we have a closing song, number 1031, Filled with Loving Kindness, and then we'll have some closing words.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May I be whole. May I be whole. May I be May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease.
closing words, and also to extinguish the chalice, are from one of the greatest Buddhist teachers in the world, Pema Chodron. And she was abbot at a monastery in Nova Scotia, I believe. And she's retired now. But this is what she said. Mindfulness practice isn't about trying to throw ourselves away and become something better. It's about befriending who we are already. Peace, shalom, amen.
And now let's join in our closing circle and sing Go Lift It Up.